Hey friends, all right, so we're on video 3 of Crochet Basics. Hopefully you've got your square finished or whatever, your rectangle, whatever you're making. Not finished. This one that I started, I actually did finish up and I started a new one because remember I started with 20 chains. That ended up being bigger than I anticipated. I was thinking like kitchen scrubby, face scrubby, and this is more like small washcloth size. My hand's pretty small, but you know, it's still pretty big. So, anyway, this measures 6 by 6. If you're wanting something smaller, I've started a new one. So this one is measuring 4 by 4. I started with 14 chains and then ended up doing 16 rows. So everybody's gauge, meaning the tightness of your work, is a little different. So I would start with between, if you're wanting this size, like a 4 by 4 size, start with between, say, 13 and 15 chains, and then you'll work probably between 14 and 16 rows. And that's just, you know, an estimate. Everybody's different. So anyway, but this one ended up being 6 by 6 with a starting chain of 20, and then I ended up working 24 rows to get a square. And hopefully, remember on that last video, I said every couple of rows you would see a valley. Hopefully after you got some length to your work, you were able to see that and start to recognize what the different rows look like. So like, you know, here's row 1, here's row 2. And this is the back of the work, by the way. This is the back of the work on this one too. The tail is on the right if it's the back, unless you're a lefty, and then it's on the left. But anyway, so every 2 rows, there a little valley develops. So hopefully you can see that now. All right, so let's finish this up. I'm rambling. So I've already snipped. When you finish, also when you start, you need to leave. People recommend that I've followed and tutorials that I've watched and stuff that I've read recommend leaving a tail of like 4 to 5 inches. I usually do about 6, and that's probably overkill, but I want to make sure that I have enough yarn to work with and that it's not, so that I can, first of all, have enough to weave in, but also so that it doesn't get awkward working with that needle. You know, if it's too short, it's just not a fun time to work with. So anyway, about between 4 and 6 inches, I would say. And I always err on the longer side. All right, so this is your last single crochet that you've worked. And all you do to finish is yarn over, and like you're gonna chain, but instead of turning your work, you're just gonna pull that all the way through and cinch it up, and you've got like a little knot there, and you're done. That's easy peasy, super simple. So now you've got to weave in your ends to make sure everything is secure and nothing's going to fall apart on you, and that it's going to, you know, provide hopefully years of service for you without coming apart. All right, so all you do is grab your tapestry needle. I'm going to use the smaller one. I don't know. I like the smaller one better than the bigger one. You use which one works for you. Get that yarn in there. Some people like to do this to kind of like, I don't know, but like make it flatter. I never have to do that, and it's actually easier for me if I just like twist the end a little to make it flatter and smaller, and then just feed it through the eye. All right, so then what you're going to do is just take this needle and you're going to go back and forth underneath your stitches to secure this end. And they recommend, a lot of people I've read recommend doing that in 3 different directions. Then it's not going anywhere, and it's not going to work its way out. Like you can pull and yank on it, and the end's not going to work its way out. Again, overkill. I usually do more than 3 just because that's me, and I want to really, really make sure it's not going anywhere. Also, now single crochet is pretty tight, so going under the stitches usually suffices, but for stitches that are a little looser, like moss stitch, for example, and you're totally going to be able to moss stitch now, because all you need to know how to moss stitch is single crochet and chaining. But that stitch, and I'll show you how to do that at some point, but those stitches are a little bit looser than just all single crochet. And so a good idea is to go through not just the stitches themselves, but to actually a few times while you're weaving in to go through the strand of yarn, just to make sure that it's tighter and it's not gonna go anywhere on you. All right, so let's do this thing. I'm just gonna go in here and I'm going underneath those stitches and burying that yarn. You can see, well, see, like I didn't do that super well on that side. So you might want to like check both sides as you're doing it and make sure you don't have a really big gap, or, you know, that your needle's sticking out. This isn't complicated at all. Okay, so there's one direction. When you pull it, you know, you want to pull it tight, but then make sure you're not cinching your work up. So kind of, you know, pull on your work a little bit, not overkill, but, you know, because you don't want to stretch it all out. But just make sure that that yarn's not cinched up. All right, and then I'm going to come in here and I'm going to do this on this next row, a second direction. Just going in between those stitches and burying the yarn and securing your work. Okay, there's direction 2. That's working its way out. I better pull on it a little. And then I'm going to go in a third direction, coming up this row. There's not really a right or wrong way to do this. I mean, you could go whichever direction you want, but at least 3, then it doesn't go anywhere. And I'm going to go a fourth. Number 1, because overkill, I'm just super cautious that way, but I don't want to snip off my yarn in the middle of the project. It's not a big deal if you do that, but that's just OCD me wanting it to be out here on the end. So I'm gonna come in here and finish out like this. Flip it over and make sure that I didn't miss anything accidentally. And then pull it through, make sure it's tight but not cinched up. All right, and then that's it. And then you just want to take your scissors and snip your yarn. You want to get as close to your work as you can, but don't accidentally nick your work. I've done that before and oh my gosh, it just about sent me over the edge. So just get close, but not too close. And then pull it and you're done. And then you're going to do the same thing with this end. I won't do that because you're probably tired of watching me on these videos and listening to me talk, but it's the same principle, the same thing you're going to do on this one. All right, so I hope this helps and I hope this gets you guys started off, and I'll jump back on here at some point and do some more videos and show you some more stitches, and then we'll do some combination of those stitches and make some pretty textures and stuff, and we'll just have all kinds of fun with it. All right, you guys have a good day. Stay cool. I live in Oklahoma. Most of you guys that are watching live in Oklahoma too, I know, and it is just brutal out there right now. So stay cool, stay hydrated. It's a great day to stay inside in the AC crocheting. So have fun and have a great rest of your day.